Okay, support your turn to play, please.
Let's wait a little bit, teacher, for them to join.
Yeah. Up to you.
Some of them are like contacting with the audio.
Please take your time.
Thank you. Okay. I think we can start right now. Good afternoon, all teachers. And thank you so much for coming back to our last session of today, the fourth at Camp Cambodia. And before we start our last presentation, I would like to remind you all that please kindly mute yourself while the presenter is talking. And if you have any questions, please take note, or you can drop your questions into the chat box. At the end of the presentation, we will have a Q&A session. So now let's welcome to Mr. HAZWAN bin HAMDAN. He is going to present the topics about making grammar memorable and exciting. Let's give the floor to Mr. HAZWAN. Welcome, Mr. HAZWAN.
Hello, hi everyone. You can see everybody here. There are approximately 26 participants in the room right now. So hi, my name is HAZWAN from Malaysia. I am an English language teacher in Malaysia. I've been teaching for around 10 years now. I am also a Fulbright TA alumni in UNCW, University of North Carolina, Wilmington. So I went to the States last year, and I'm very delighted because today I got the chance to share with all of you some techniques and tips to make teaching grammar memorable and exciting, especially in this stay-at-home period. I know some of you might have problems in teaching students and engaging them, especially in teaching grammar. So I will try my best to share with you some tips on how to make students find teaching grammar, learning grammar memorable and exciting. Okay, so I hope that we can just start right now. Can we just start sharing the screen?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll start sharing the screen now. Hello, hi. Okay, so I'll start sharing this screen now. Okay, I hope that everybody can see this. Okay.
Yes, I can see your screen, sir.
Okay, wonderful. And do I sound clear? My sound clear?
Yes.
Yes, wonderful. So today we are going to look into some tips to make grammar memorable and exciting. So I am HAZWAN HAMDAN, Fulbright TA alumni from Malaysia. And as for the purpose of our EdCamp today, we are building pathways to distance learning. So while doing this, while sharing with you some tips to make grammar memorable and exciting, I will show you some way to make it both in online and offline grammar learning memorable and exciting. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, so let's wear a thinking helmet just to make our brain running for this time. Maybe this is around 3:30, if not mistaken, 3:40 at your place, and it's 4:40. So let's just have a riddle at this time around. What has hands but cannot clap? You can just write your response in the chat box and just take a look at whether we are still aware of what is going on right now. So the thinking helmet now, what has hands but cannot clap? Just maybe 1 minute or 2 minutes to think, what is the thing that has hands but cannot clap? You can write your responses in the chat and you can see what are some of your responses. Okay, good. You can see that some of you say watch, clock. Okay, good, wonderful. Okay. So good. So we are all here very aware at this time. So the answer is clock. Wonderful. So this is actually one way to make a good starter in your classroom. This is what I always do in my class. I will start with a riddle, a simple riddle. Don't make it too hard for the kids. Okay, just make them play with the words, because this is what we want students to do, to use the language every time we enter the class. Okay, so let's move on. So just a random question right now. Everybody can just respond this, just write your response in the group chat, or for those who are listening this through Facebook, maybe you can just respond as well. How do you teach grammar? Okay, is there any problem with the sound? Can everyone hear me clearly? Okay, because somebody is asking on the chat.
I can hear you very clear, but
okay, good, cool. So maybe there are some people are having problem, but it's okay. Okay, so how do you teach grammar? Okay, you can write your answer in the chat box. Okay, maybe you teach isolated grammar. Okay, so Mr. Darcy, show them form first, then use the grammar point I teach. Inductive to conductive approaches, wonderful. Teach with PPP approach, wonderful. So yes, can we see some other responses on how do you teach grammar? There's no right or wrong in the workshop. You can just express, maybe that is the best way you can teach grammar. You teach grammar through diagrams, providing examples, wonderful. I can see a lot of responses, inductive and deductive. Asking questions to check first, good. So actually terms, we will hear a lot of terms. Okay, inductive, deductive is also same like we are asking questions first. Okay, so I can see that all of you here, okay, even though you are good teachers, because you can provide a lot of ways to teach grammar. So, but I just want to share with you some tips, maybe to improve, or maybe to put some value added to your activity and so on. Okay, so let's move on. The first tip for today is to use board games. Okay, so students might feel that lecturing the grammar is quite boring. So let's try to use board games. Okay, just to inform all of you here, my examples will be based on American English website. So there are a lot of resources. Right? So if you see the tips here, and I will share with you some links for all of you here to use, to download the games, to download the tips and techniques, so that everybody here can use the resources provided from American English website. So the first tip is using the board game. So let's take a look at this board game. Okay, this board game is called as Use a Word. If you can see that, board games, it offers interactive English language practice in a learner-centered environment. So students will be free when they are doing this, because they know that those who are playing with them are their colleagues, their classmates. They are not playing this game with their teachers, because teachers have different level of vocabulary. So they are playing this game with their friends. So it's less stressful for students. Okay, this is less stressful for students. So the board game here, Use a Word, provides students with a specific word they should try to use in a sentence. For example, if they can start with the word design, for example. So they can just think of a sentence, and for example, we say design is a verb. So I design my poster for today, for example. So students are using the language, okay? Not only they learn the word, they also use it in the real world. Okay. Next, okay. So we can adapt this game. This is the one provided in American English website. But for me, I adapt this by use a word to use a grammatical item. For example, use a noun. I change the word over there into noun. So you can use noun only. Okay, for example, they are going to use noun. Or I change to adjective. Change the title to use an adjective. So I just write some adjectives in this board. Student can try to use the adjective instead of learning how to use. Okay, instead of learning how to use, they practice using it. So when they practice, they will memorize it better. Okay, so student will try to use the word as the game goes on. Or if you want to make it advance a little bit, after they use it, their friend will listen and write down the word or the sentence. Okay, so we are going to make the students feel learning language is not stressful. It's some way that they can learn and play at the same time. Okay. If you have questions, you can just write in the group chat. I will try to respond to it throughout the session if possible. Okay, next, if you can see that this is the link where you can get American English.state.gov resources, activate games. Okay, so in this website, you can see a lot of board games and so on, and interesting games for students to learn, not only grammar. I adapt these board games to grammar games for students to learn grammar. Okay, so this is our first technique, or the first tip to make grammar memorable and exciting. Remember, the key here is memorable and exciting for the kids. Okay. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, so let's move on to the tip number 2. Okay, I hope I'm not going too fast right now. Tip number 2 is what we say as comic reading, because there are a lot of readings that we are doing in the classroom. And remember, because we are teaching kids, maybe some of you are teaching adults as well. But remember, some adults are also comic readers, like me. I'm a comic reader. That's why I like reading comics. And surprise not, this actually appears in American English website as well. Okay, so let's take a look. Some of the techniques. Okay, this the comic appears in American English website. It is called Zonk. Okay, so besides reading newspapers, I know some of us like to give students newspapers, magazines, and books. Okay, they are all useful. Some even give a graphic novel to kids. But for example, this Zonk, you can download this on American English website. It is a comic produced by teachers and students in Peru. So they are learning English. At the same time, they are drawing it. And both of them at the same time learning and teaching at the same time. So they are teaching their friends to learn English language by reading comic. Okay, so allow me to respond to one question. Should we use board game? Does it fit with all level of students according to teaching experience? Okay, thank you for that, for that question. I just respond to it very quickly. Yes, like I said just now, we can just use a sentence, and different level of student will different level sentence. Okay, different level of student will produce level of sentence. Good student will produce sentence with conjunctions and so on, or you can add more. Instead of just use an adjective, you can add use an adjective and conjunction. So they will use maybe only one grammatical item, they can use grammatical items. Okay. Okay, so wonderful. Use advanced organizers. Yes, wonderful. Work out the rules later instead of presenting the rules. Okay, so you can use inductive and deductive approaches while presenting, while doing grammar in games. Okay, not necessarily we present the rule. We let them explore the rules. Okay. So moving on. Okay. Okay, so a comic motivates students to read and at the same time write stories based on their thoughts and imagination. So they can use thoughts and imagination. This is an example from Peru. Okay, maybe teachers in Cambodia can gather around and produce a comic like this. Is going to be useful for students in Cambodia. And actually they make it as a competition. Okay, if you download this novel, you download this comic, you can see students ranking from 1 until something. You can see the rank. Okay, the first prize. It's not about drawing beautifully. Okay. Okay, so I can see that another question coming in. Okay. Okay. So how can you adapt this technique for our classroom? Okay. So this is actually comic by teachers and students. You can just make it for your students only, or maybe just from teachers. Teachers draw a little bit something, and then ask the student to write the sentence in the bubble, in the dialogue bubble. Okay. So what if teachers with different level comic book them? Okay. This, as I is now, this is some tips you can want to make them memorable and exciting. Okay, maybe these 2 tips might not fit your students. Okay, it's either you need to lower it down, okay, because the idea here is a tip so that you can either lower it down to students' need, or put in another higher level if your students level. Draw by hand or use applications that are available on the market or available online. There are lots of online for drawing comics or presenting comics in the classroom. Okay. So this is where you can find this Zonk comics. This is comics by teachers and students in Peru. So you can simply go to this website. I will share these slides later. If I'm not mistaken, the organizer will share these slides at the end of the session so that you can just go through the slides and take a look at the link. You can explore, get a lot of resources available. So this is one comic that you can use. Maybe you want to lower it down. Okay, for example, if you have no problem with your internet connection, your students as well have a problem with internet connections. Okay, we can do this as classroom activities, whereby you can use storyboard.com. Okay, or if your students are unable to use internet, to having problem with internet connection and so on, teachers can do this. Okay, at the end, we start by doing the comic. Okay, preparing the comic, a storyboard that has a lot of templates. You have a lot of characters. You have a lot of settings. You can see the backgrounds and so on can differ from one another. Okay, you can explore this later. Okay, storyboard that also comes with free account. You can just subscribe for free for 14 days, if not mistaken. And if you are willing to subscribe, you need to pay a little bit. Okay, but this is one good way if you feel that you want to do it online, and a grammar using comic online. Okay, so you can just create this first. Okay, or if you feel that storyboard that doesn't fit your way of teaching, we can try to use this. Okay, maybe some of you like Garfield, or maybe some of you haven't read Garfield. Okay, but Garfield is one of the comic strip that I like because simplicity and the way it conveys certain messages. Okay, this is Garfield. I took this from Garfield 1. Okay, I retrieved this from the gocomics.com. Okay, if you look at this comic reading, okay, if you look at this comic, okay, what do you think, or what grammatical items can we teach students from this comic strip? Okay, this is not a question for students. This is a question for all of us here. Okay, what grammatical items? If you look at the bubble, there are only 4 dialogues. Okay, you again, me again, normal, the world's cutest kitten. Now aside, fatso, I have people to charm. So what grammatical item you think we can teach our students using this comic strip? You can just write your responses on the chat box. Okay. Okay, cool. So I can see that somebody is answering a superlative adjective. So wonderful. If you can see in the middle there, okay, comparing, okay, comparing, okay, because we have adjectives. Maybe you want to make a comparative adjective, but actually using this comic strip, we can teach students using superlative adjectives. Okay, so the word from the word cutest, you can ask the students next. Okay. You can ask the students to write sentences based on what they see in the comic strip. Normal is the word cutest kitten. Or we want to teach the students not to use apostrophe like that, the world's cutest kitten. Okay, we can just let the students write normal is the cutest kitten in the world. Okay, and then we ask the students, what is the base form or the adjective, the original adjective for that, the word cutest? Okay, so student will respond cute and so on. So we show them example first. They see the structure, the example, the structure, and then they practice it. Okay, from the word cutest, we are going to share with them some other adjective, and they will start using cute, cuter, cutest, big, bigger, biggest, small, smaller, smallest. And maybe from just that sentence, for example, Nemo is the cutest kitten in the world, just ask the students to change the comparative, the superlative adjective without changing the whole sentence. For example, the beginner students, the low level students, they cannot think of sentences. So just let them change the superlative adjective only. For the advanced learners, we ask them to totally change the sentence. So that's how we manipulate this activity for advanced learners and also for beginner learners. Okay. I understand that not all students are well versed with language. So the first step is just to make them change one or two words, not change the whole sentence. Let them explore the sentence by referring to the example that they can see in front of them. Okay. Okay. Or once this pandemic is over, when everybody can go back to school, we can use this offline mode comic activity. Okay, instead of they read comics that has been prepared by somebody else, okay, we can just print a 3-panel comic and let students explore language by using comic. For example, we say that today you're going to draw a comic, 3-panel comic, but make sure in bubble you use adjective. So in first column you can see adjective, in the second column you can see adjective, in the third column you can see adjective. Okay, matchstick boys, okay. We don't want to produce a comic artist. We want them to learn language cognitively, and they feel learning language something exciting. Okay, the problem with our students is that they feel they don't want to do this because they cannot draw things. Okay, we need to encourage them. It's fine if we draw as well. We need to encourage the students. No need to be shy if we cannot draw beautifully. As long as the purpose of this lesson is they are able to construct sentences. They are able to use adjective, for example. The drawing comes later. Okay. Next. So the first tip that I shared with you just now is using board games, and the second tips we are using the comic, okay, to make grammar memorable and exciting. Okay, and the third tip, okay, this might be quite difficult, but it can be done, okay, whereby we teach grammar communicatively. So when it comes to teach grammar communicatively, we have to make the students communicate, use the language, okay? Because just now we have the board games, we have a comic. Now we want them to use grammar in communication. Basic sentence fine, difficult sentence fine, depend on the level of your students. If your students are beginner level, teachers can produce the script for students to read For advanced learners, we can just let them speak using the grammatical items. Okay, let's move on. How can we make teaching grammar communicative? Okay, because we make teaching grammar communicatively, we are encouraging students to use language in meaningful communications. Okay, make it real. Just make something real. Involve real life situation when assigning students tasks. Okay, so what do you mean by make it real and real life situation? So a communicative grammar lesson gives students opportunity to practice the target grammar. Okay, so when we are correcting the students, make sure we are correcting on the target grammar. We're not correcting everything that they said wrongly. Okay, focus on the target grammar. Okay, so if you feel that community tasks should provide students the opportunity to use language to communicate. Okay, this is very important. Okay. Okay, for example, this is one way to make teaching grammar communicatively. Okay, so as mentioned by your organizers, okay, you can pose a question, drop the questions along the way, so I can just respond to it when I see that I can just chip in and answer the questions. Okay, so this is one good activity that we can use to practice grammar communicatively. Okay. So you can find this as well in the American English Resources, okay, website. So this is a word string. Okay, some of you just now asked, how can I teach the students who are low level, for example, or beginner level? So this word string, okay, is a good activity for low level, advanced level, intermediate level, okay, because they are making sentences from word by word, step by step, I+1. They don't go straight away to write a long sentence. Okay, so have students to sit in 3 to 4, put pitch cards in the box. Okay, I'll show you the cards. Okay, so they will take a card. Okay, and in a card they will just construct sentence from the first word that they see, and then they start expanding the sentence. Okay, so the word string is actually you put together a few words, okay, to make a complete sentence. So as long as the sentence is not complete, this activity will go on. Okay, for example, if the first word is football, okay, so yeah, we're going to look at the sample after this. Okay, the group looks at the pictures together. Goal is to make a sentence using one of the words on the. Okay. So let's take a look. For example, the first word, okay, you can see if the first word, we give the students a card, and on the card there is a baseball. Yeah, American love baseball. So that's why the sample here is baseball. Maybe you can change to traditional games, okay, and make them practice using it. That is the real life thing. In America, you use baseball because they are used to baseball. Maybe in Cambodia, there are other games that you like to play. Football, maybe rugby, maybe other traditional games, sepak takraw, and so on. Okay, so you have baseball, and then the first student will say baseball. The second student will make longer string, okay? Baseball player. And then the third student will say the baseball player. And then the fourth student will add another word, okay? The tall baseball player, okay? And then you can repeat. The first student can say the tall baseball player hits what? Okay. So the sentence it's not complete yet over here. So the student will continue playing this until they form a complete sentence. Okay. So who's going to check the sentence? Okay, that's one good question. Who's going to check this sentence whether it's complete or not? Okay. So that's why we are there as teachers. When they are in groups, small groups, we roam around the classroom, okay, and listen whether they have completed or not. Or maybe they can just raise hand and tell the teachers what is the complete sentence. Okay, so this is another good activity, both for low-level students, for beginner students, okay, and for advanced learners, advanced students. Okay. If you feel that the students cannot produce this word, teachers need to give the example. Okay, you have given them a picture of a baseball, for example. They do not know, so give them a baseball, and then they'll start constructing sentences from that. Okay, just add one word to another. Okay, so this is how this game looks like. Okay, maybe we can adapt this. You can just go to this American English resource website. Okay, it doesn't mean that we have to copy everything that is presented. Okay, we can adapt it. That is what teachers do. Adapt and adopt to suit the need of our students. Okay. Some students like to play games and some don't in the classroom. How to encourage whom dislike? Okay, good. There's a wonderful student. That's why we are presenting a lot of tips here, because in the classroom, the heterogeneous student, mixed ability, mixed interests. Okay, so how to encourage whom dislike? Okay, that's the power of teachers when we divided them into groups. Identify who like the games, who dislike playing games, and put them, okay, don't put students who dislike games in one group. They will forever dislike games. So put those who dislike games, okay, scatter them around in the classroom, make sure they single, or maybe make sure they are seated together with students who likes playing games. Okay, so because we cannot stop students from disliking activities. There are some students who like activities like this, some dislike activities like this, some just like to remain seated when we want to do when we want to introduce total physical response, for example. So good question. The thing is, when we are dividing them into groups, identify who dislike the games, who likes the game, and put them together. Do not put those who dislike playing game in one group. They will never like it, okay? Because everybody share the same thoughts. They dislike the game, so they will never dislike the games. So just mingle them, put them into different groups, okay? Good question, thank you. Okay. So let's move on. Maybe this is the, okay, this maybe we are actually towards the end actually, okay, but not the end yet. Okay, so this is our next tip, which is personalizing content. Okay, and we say personalizing the content, we might think that it's a very difficult term, but actually it's a very easy thing to do. Okay. So personalizing the content is saying like we are giving a real thing to the students, okay? Instead of making them thinking too much about how to put this thing into context. Okay, so let's take a look. Based on the game just now, we have the game play just now, okay? So you can see at the end that the questions, they are not only creating sentences, they are also responding to some personal questions. So this is to encourage them to speak. Okay, not only they just construct sentences just now in the word string activity, okay, they expand from one word until they make a full sentence. We also can ask questions to them at the end. Okay. Okay, wonderful. We have 6 more minutes left. So, so this is some of the things that we can do. Which games you like to play? Why? So make it dear to them. Make it near to them. Make it make the questions they can respond. Okay. Okay. So when we are reading or when we are referring to certain resources, try to adapt and adopt to suit the need of our students. Okay. Like what I did is I don't take 100% from this activity. I adapt it so that I just choose 1 or 2 questions that I think the students can respond. Okay. Okay, so I guess that's all the 4 tips that we have presented. I hope it is I hope it is meaningful, it is beneficial for all of you, teachers, and all students here who participate in this 40 minutes webinar, okay, 40-minute session. Okay, so I'm not representative from the American English website. I'm just sharing this because I am using it as a Fulbright T alumni, as an e-teacher alumni, and as English language teacher like all of you here. Okay, so this is a very good platform for all teachers to use. Okay, you have American English State. This is the website. Okay, you can see that you have best culture, music and game, webinars, MOOCs, club text and material, the teacher's corner, and comics for language learning. Okay, the one that I showed you is only the Zonk. They are not mistaken, there are 3 more comics available. You can just take a look, maybe adapt it, maybe come up with a Cambodian comics for English language. That should be wonderful. Okay. And teachers, this is for teachers. Okay. And this is for our own professional development. I myself follow these webinars from American English. These are wonderful webinars. You can listen to a wide range of skill tips and techniques on how to engage your students to love learning language. Okay, so in this webinar, you are going to listen to the webinar, if not mistaken, on YouTube or on Facebook. You can listen to on Facebook. At the end, you will get a badge, okay, the virtual badges for you to put on your backpack. Okay, so I guess that's all for today. Okay, thank you very much for participating in this session. Okay, so thank you much. If you can follow me, if you can follow my Facebook, HAZWAN HN, or I am also available on Instagram if you want to ask questions. Okay, HAZWAN_HN. Okay, so I guess that's all for today. Thank you very much to everyone, all participants today. Thank you. So I guess that's all. I return the session back to the floor back to the moderator. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. HAZWAN, for the extreme, incredible presentation. I think all the participants love this last session about grammar, because our students like learning grammar in Cambodia. Okay, before we end our post ad camp, I would like to inform you that please check your email, because we would love you to give us feedback for our fourth ad camp. And also please like our Facebook page at Camp Cambodia to get more information, and Teacher Dara will share a presentation slides and like information about the speaker of the day through at Camp Cambodia page, Facebook page. And also our certificate, we will try to send you as soon as possible, but only within 3 days you will get your certificate. Also, the last part, please subscribe our Facebook channel. It's named at Camp Cambodia COP-Siem to get videos and other information about at Camp Cambodia. Thank you for joining our at Camp today, and I hope you get something and apply it in your teaching after COVID or within COVID period. You can apply this in online teaching within your class. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Sophal. And I want to express my sincere thanks to all the guest speakers who are here now and also who have done their presentation and also for sharing today. And thank you all the teachers from around the country, Cambodia, and also other country around the region. And I believe that you have gained some techniques and methodologies in order to use for your own classroom. And especially at this time is very important for all the teachers to keep learning. I would call it like continuing professional development. This is a new term when we use during the COVID-19, or in short, we say CPD. So we are teacher learning and using what we are learning at the same time. And the last message for all our teachers as well here is, this is the quote that I got from the Positive Education from Geelong Grammar School in Australia. What they keep us like a message is, we are teaching remotely, but we are learning together. That means we teaching from our home, but at the same time, we teacher are learning with the student as well. If you agree with that.
Yeah, totally agree.
Yes. Okay. I think that's all. I can't thank you all enough, and wish you all have a good evening, all teachers, and hope to catch up with you with later events. Okay. Thank you. Yes. All right. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Bye. Goodbye.